Hello my pottery and lapidary friends. Today I've got a super fun project planned. We're going to make a Cibola black on white pitcher. And it's going to look something like this. I decided to draw up some blueprints just to give me a good guideline of what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to use these blueprints to kind of keep me in the ballpark for this project. It's not going to be too crazy accurate. I'm just going to have a lot of fun with this. So real quick, let's go over the tools I'm going to be using today. I've got here my Pookie. It's going to be the foundation for the project that I'm going to be using. It's the perfect size for it. And I've got here a gourd scraper that I'm going to be using. This is going to be my primary tool for shaping and sculpting this jar, which is going to turn into a pitcher once we have that handle. And lastly, I've got here my cutting tool that I'm going to be using. And I've got here my gray clay that I've tempered with some volcanic ash. So this stuff is ready to roll out. Hopefully I've mixed up enough. I'm running real low on this gray clay, and I've got one big project, a bird effigy that I want to make down the road. So I want to make sure I've got enough of that. I'm just going to break some of this clay off. Just really make sure I got it packed in good. It's really nice and squishy, this stuff. This is some really good clay. The only thing I do not like about it is it just sags. It really doesn't hold its shape well. You gotta let it firm up for quite a bit. So if you're making a big pot or something like that, it's can be a little bit of a headache. But when it dries really good, and I haven't had too many complications with it and all the experimenting I've done with this clay. So just gonna flatten it out into a pancake shape and drop that into our Pookie. I want this to be nice and thin. Oh, this is terrible this side. Smash that right into there. There we go, beautiful. I always like to make sure I get my base nice and smooth, because most of the time I can never get my hands to fit back down on it to make sure it is smooth. So if it's not smooth now, it's going to be permanently rough. And I'll take my cutting tool right here and just start to make this a nice, smooth, even surface so we can add our first coil. All right, we got our first coil put on. Looks pretty good. Just need to start pressing those. Get it nice into the clay here. So I've gone ahead and added a second coil to this pitcher that I'm working on. It's starting to take shape. We still got to round it out a bit. We're going to start to press it upward and inward at the same time. So it's going pretty well so far. I've got to definitely let this clay firm up some more. You can tell just barely pushing it. It just really doesn't hold its shape at all. Just going to kind of pinch and press upward. I find that works pretty well for most of my pottery. Really depends on how stubborn your clay is, though. Probably should have cleaned my gourd scraper off. Well, this is looking pretty good so far. Unfortunately though, like I mentioned, this clay likes to really sag. It's drooping quite a bit. So I put some old rags on the inside to kind of help support the structure of it. I'm gonna let this sit for about an hour so it can firm up. I've got about 2 more coils I've got to add, and it's not gonna be able to support that weight until I let it firm up for a while. So we'll come back in just a little bit. All right, hopefully this is gonna work. It definitely still feels like it's got a little bit of giveaway on it. I'm gonna leave these rags in here and hope hope that I can manage to get them out and it doesn't get too narrow. But I think that's gonna be my only hope for keeping this clay to be able to hold its shape for the moment. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's see what we can do. It's definitely one of those pots that's gonna put up a fight pretty much all the way through it. That'll be pretty cool when it's done, hopefully. I want to make sure you get those seams pressed in really good, especially the ones underneath. Just kind of try and smooth that out. This is getting pretty rough, this clay, man. All right, and as you can see, I've already got these holes punched out. Putting the handle on is going to be hopefully a piece of cake. This is one of the things I like about this clay is it's got some really good plasticity, so it's going to be able to support a lot of flexibility here. But as you can see, this thing just, oh my goodness. All right, just like that. That handle is wild. Might actually be a little bit too long, but this needs to come up. And then it also needs to get pushed in. So let's see if we can get this here. All right, there looks good. And just blend that all in there. Get it looking nice. A little extra clay. Make sure it's pushed in pretty good right there. Yeah, that'll look. Let's get this nice and smoothed out just a bit. It doesn't have to be too crazy. So we're about to put that white slip on this, but I do want it to be somewhat decent looking. This rim really needs a little bit of help. Sometimes it's better just to go over it with your hands. Make sure you got a nice beveled edge here. That looks pretty decent. As you can see, I still got those towels still stuffed in there. I'm waiting for this thing to completely dry and then make the attempt to get that out. It's not looking too good for those in there right now, but they should be able to come out. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Well, I'm back for day number 2 on this project. I let this thing sit overnight, let it firm up pretty well. It's nice and pliable. It's actually really leathery hard right now. We're ready to add that slip on. What I did in the meantime though is I went over and just kind of smoothed it out with the smoothing stone. Nothing too crazy. It's nice and smoothed out as much as I could get it smoothed out. It's not perfect, but it is really good. Now the rim on this was pretty finicky, but it came through. You can definitely see it's not perfect. None of these primitive pots were perfect though, so that just adds more character to it. Looks really beautiful. Got some nice imperfections all around it. That's really going to make it pop when it's fired. So what's next? At this point, now that we've got a nice leathery hard piece of clay body here, we can start to add that nice beautiful white slip to it. I've been asked a few times, Will, do you use Smectite clay on your slip for your reduction firings? And the answer to that is no, I do not. I like to save that Smectite clay for my organic paint. It's a rare clay for me, and I don't have access to it, so I use it only specifically for that type of pottery. But I do have access to some good white clay that does not hold organic paint at all, and it actually is perfect for this reduction firing stuff because I'm going to be using an iron paint for the decorative designs on it instead. So I'm going to add some distilled water to this, get it all mixed up, and we'll start adding our slip to this pot. Just love the smell of this clay. Oh. Just gonna keep stirring this around. Make sure I don't have any, likes to clump up in the corners usually. You can see that big old chunk there. I'll make sure we get it all mixed in really well. Oh, there we go, something was. Add a little more distilled water. Get it to a nice consistency like that. I think this is going to work. I like my first coat to be a little bit watery. That way it penetrates the leathery clay a little bit better. That first base is really important. If you put it on too loose, I've had a lot of problems with crackling and peeling. Ugh, it just never works good, so I found this way works pretty well. Especially if you're going really thick with your coat. Put my smoothing stone over here, and as you can tell, my desk is kind of a hot mess right now. I usually like it pretty soupy too, man. This is really good consistency. And I'll start from the top and work my way down because eventually I'm gonna need to flip it upside down to put the bottom on. And I find that just works the best to have it flipped over, upside down. Start from the top. We also got to do the inside a bit. I almost forgot to mention. I'm only going to go about halfway down. That way it's still noticeable that it's white. And this clay fires to a light gray, almost a white, but not super white. So I still have to kind of slip the inside as well. We'll just start here at the top, and oh, this might be too thick actually. Yeah, it does feel like it is. Add a little bit more water. Just really start just rubbing it in here. Just take your time. One of the downsides to using these bristle brushes is every once in a while your brush decides to start shedding these little hairs in your pots. They'll fire out, but when they do, it usually leaves like a streak or a big old, it almost looks like a crack because that's where the hair used to be. And getting them out, you can use like some tweezers or your thumb, fingernails, but you're going to wind up denting the pot doing that too. I usually just leave them in there. Sometimes they're not too noticeable. All right, so I'm at my family's house today and I'm getting ready to do that reduction firing in their backyard. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be about a 3-hour firing where we're just gonna let it fire and burn itself out. I'm gonna smother it and let it cool down for at least 3 hours. It's gonna be quite a while. So let's get to it. We got quite a bit of work to do. All right, for this firing, as you can see, I've got a pretty good sized deep pit here. It's a little bit over a foot. I think this is gonna be more than sufficient for this pitcher. Let's get this pre-warm up fire going. Here we got our pitcher, some of the other goods that we're going to be firing with this today. A little jar I made. I'm doing a refire of this to see if I can get it to come out any wider. Well, it looks like this fire is well underway right now. I'm going to come back in about 3 hours after this thing's been smothered. Plenty of time to cool down, and we'll check out the damage on it. Let's hope for the best. Well, we're back in the good old studio and just check this beautiful picture out. Oh man, that high-pitched sound, that is just beautiful. This was another successful reduction firing. Just check out these beautiful blacks on this. I don't have any browns or anything that indicating I had any oxygen come back in this thing. So that is a really good bonus. Oh man. Unfortunately though, I've got a little bit of carbon on here, which can be a bit of an issue. Oh boy, I cheaped out on some wood. It's kind of all I had at the time to use at my family's place, so I couldn't go out and get some real good, clean burning wood. It produced a lot of smoke, and I suspect that's why I've got this kind of carbon issues, unfortunately. I also do have some smothering issues. You can see right here, When I started to smother the cover sherds, some of the dirt dropped down in there and came into contact with it real quick, producing some smoke that leaches into the pottery really quick. Normally would have been a lot more whiter and more of a cleaner look. But it is what it is, guys, and I definitely am gonna call this a success. I wanna give a special shout out to Mark Gibson's Southwest Pottery. Be sure to check out his channel. It was so kind of him to get me involved with this Cibola challenge. This was, I guess, part of it that I decided to do. I just happened to be making some whiteware at the time. I was like, well. So I wanted to give you a special shout out, my friend. I love your channel. I love all the neat videos and adventures you go on. Be sure to check his channel out, guys. I know you're gonna love it. I really hope you learned something from this. I know it was a quick-paced video. We didn't really cover a lot of stuff except for how to actually make this thing. Hopefully in the future I can do some videos and maybe how to paint these things. I always think it's a little bit boring, and it's kind of difficult too because I'm right-handed and I need the camera on this side of my bench here, and the way I flip it around all the time gets a little bit out of control. But again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you think, all right? And if you really enjoyed this and you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow. All right, my friends, thanks so much for watching. Till next time.